I will walk you through the full process of how to apply to a German university. Step by step, no fluff, no confusion. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to do, when to do it, and how to get accepted. The first step, trust me, is a step that you don't want to skip. Germany is very strict when it comes to academic qualifications. That's why your very first task is to check your eligibility using the official DAAD admission database. You'll find the link in the video description. It's a website that is backed by the government. The information cannot get more reliable than that. And it tells you exactly whether your previous education qualifies you for a bachelor's or a master's program in Germany. If you're applying for a bachelor's degree, your high school certificate must be recognized as equivalent to the German Abitur. That's what the high school graduation is called in Germany. Some qualifications, like the international baccalaureate or A-levels, are usually accepted. But others, like some high school diplomas from, let's say, India, Pakistan, and some other Asian and African countries, for example, often don't qualify directly. Now, in that case, you might need to attend a so-called Studienkolleg, which is a one-year course in Germany that is preparing you, after which you have to take an entrance exam. Without that, you won't be allowed to enroll. And the DAAD, very convenient, has a database, and there you can check if you need to do the Studienkolleg. Again, this is the website backed by the government, and to make life easier for you, I've put the link in the video description. If you're applying for a master's program, on the other hand, your bachelor's degree must be officially recognized as equivalent to a German undergraduate degree. That means it must come from an accredited university and have the right number of credits and academic level. Again, you can check this using the DAAD portal, or even more precisely, through the so-called ANABIN database. This is a website that is from the ZAB, and they have the official database, whether your university and your degree is recognized in Germany. You need to look up your university and your study degree, and if your university has a H+ as status and your degree has a vergleichbar or gleichwertig, this means yes, green light for you. Now, there's one more important thing. If you're from India, China, or Vietnam, you're required to get an APS certificate. This is an official verification of your academic documents, and without it, you won't even be allowed to apply for a visa. So make sure that you start this process earlier. It can take several weeks. But of course, there's one big question. Which university and course should you even apply for? This is a very exciting, but also honestly, from my own experience, an overwhelming part. But we're here together to figure this out so you can make a smart and strategic choice. Now, first, you need to know where to look. There are several amazing platforms you should absolutely use. Number one is the International Programs Database from the DAAD. So again, this is the government-backed website. So the information is trustworthy, it's also super user-friendly, and it lets you filter by subject, degree level, and also by language of instruction. Second is the MyGuide website from the DAAD, which helps you to find your way through the German university landscape. Then there is also the Higher Education Compass, which is an extremely big database, and you can find all kinds of programs there with application deadlines. You can find links to all of these three in the video description. Now, when browsing the courses, don't just only look at the title. I mean, you can do that, but you will still probably not know what it is exactly about. So I would suggest you to write down a couple of programs that sound interesting and then do even more research. On the website of the university you want to apply for, you can typically find a module catalog of your study program. Or in Germany, it's called Modulhandbuch. There you can actually see which classes you would have and what each class is about. So by doing that, you can really get a very detailed look into your potential future life. So this is also relevant, for example, if two computer science programs have similar names. One might be heavily theoretical, while the other one focuses on AI and machine learning and is very practice-oriented. When it comes to language, a lot of master's programs are in English, especially in engineering, tech, and business. But bachelor's programs are mostly in German. So if you're applying for undergrad and don't speak German yet, your options will be limited. Also, the language at Studienkolleg is German. Learning the German language will not only help you while studying, but also for having a part-time job or later on also full-time jobs. If you want to learn German self-taught at your own speed and in an affordable way, you can check out the German course from my friend Max Joko, which is exactly designed for students like you who want to come to Germany and learn German language in a fast and affordable way. Now let's talk about the university itself. Germany has more than 400 universities, and rankings don't always tell the full story. Instead of obsessing over QS rankings, focus on what the university is known for. Besides that, also think about the city you want to live in. In smaller cities, the rent might be cheaper, but in bigger cities, you might have more internship and part-time job opportunities. And if someone told you about a cool private university in Germany, I personally would strongly think if you really want to study there. Private universities might charge like 5,000 to 30,000 euros per year, and often push aggressive marketing campaigns. Don't fall for that unless you've really done your research and really think these provide enough value for you to actually pay these high fees. Because after all, you can study almost anything in Germany basically for free. So how many programs should you apply for? I personally would recommend creating a short list of 10, maybe 15 programs from different universities. Maybe some where you easily meet the criteria, some target programs where you are a good fit, and maybe 1 to 3 ambitious ones, dream universities you would love to get into. If you want to stay organized, and I would highly encourage you to do so, start building an Excel or Google sheet where you can list things like university, the application deadline, language, tuition costs, and other keynotes for each program you're interested in. So now you get a bit more understanding what you even want to apply for. But it is good to already know which documents you will then need to apply, because some take a while to get them, and even missing one small document can mean that you will have to apply again next year, which, well, would be sad just only because of a deadline. So what documents do you need? First, you will need your academic documents. That means your transcripts and your degree certificate. Both must, by the way, be translated into English or German if they're in another language. And important here is make sure that these are either officially translated or certified copies, depending on what the university where you apply for asks for. For you, I've done a bit of research on which services you can use to officially translate these, and I personally would recommend LingoKing, which are recognized by official authorities in Germany, easy to use and rated extremely well by the users. And you can find a link to this in the video description. Next, your CV. The European standard is called the Europass CV. It's simple, clear, and most universities are familiar with it. You can create it online for free. And let me tell you, maybe there's a consultancy in your country that tells you, oh, this CV looks so basic, you might not get in, you should pay them so that they can do it in a better way. Don't. I'll make a video in the future how people are selected, but basically the CV is there for the facts, not how it looks, not how it is built up. So save yourself that money. Then comes the letter of motivation. And despite what your local study abroad consultancy tells you, never let them handle this for you. In fact, I would argue you should be careful in general to use study abroad consultancies for several reasons I'm going to explain in a future video. Just for now, know that the letter of motivation can be very different for each program you apply for. For example, I study at the Technical University of Munich, and I didn't have to write a regular motivation letter. Instead, I had to write a small research paper with sources and everything about a given topic. Then letters of recommendation. Many study abroad consultancies will tell you they will take care of that, but in many cases they're not needed. In my case, for example, a letter of recommendation was never required, neither for my bachelor's nor for my master's. Then there is the language certificate. This also depends on the university and can also be different for each program. However, in many programs in English, most universities accept the IELTS with a score of around 6.5 or above, or the TOEFL with a score of around 90 and above. But again, check the exact points on the website of the university you apply for specifically, because it differs a bit. For some universities, you can also show that your prior degree was taught in English, and then you don't need to have a language test, which is cool. If your program is in German, you'll need to prove German skills. Oftentimes, this might be a B2 or C1 level, depending on the course and university. Again, if you want to learn German, the link to an affordable course which will help you to prepare for the official language tests you need to take is in the video description. And then, in addition to the academic stuff that we already discussed right now, you'll need a valid passport and passport-sized photo. These sound basic, but double check that your passport won't expire within the next year. And one more thing, check each university's website very carefully. Some require notarized documents, others ask for hard copies to be made. Just make sure that you read through all of the requirements of your study program. Okay, that was a lot. So you've picked your university, set up your tracker, and gathered your documents. Now it's time to talk about exams. Not every program in Germany requires an entrance test, but some do, especially competitive or technical ones. And it's super important to plan ahead, because registration, prep, and results can take months. Let's break it down. If you're applying to business or management programs, you might be asked for the so-called GMAT, especially at top universities or for MBA-style programs. A score of above 600 is often considered as competitive and good, but every program is different. If you're going for engineering, computer science, or AI-focused programs, you might need the GRE. It's not always mandatory, but for international students applying from countries with different academic systems, it can strengthen your application, especially if your GPA isn't directly comparable. And also, some might require it. Now, if you're from India and applying to a technical program, some universities may even accept or request your GATE exam results. Again, this is rare, but it happens especially for highly technical degrees. Besides these, you'll want to carefully check subject-specific requirements. For example, if you want to do a master's in computer science, maybe the master requires you to have done at least 30 ECTS in computer science before. 30 credits are roughly equivalent to 1 semester workload. If your bachelor's degree doesn't match exactly, you might need to take bridging courses, which means you might have to take 1 or 2 additional courses, or however many you would need to take, to equip you with the background you need, and then the university should be happy. So here's what to do right now. Check your top programs and scan for exam requirements and subject prerequisites. If you need to take the GMAT or GRE, book it early. Test slots fill up fast and it takes time to get your results. Also, double check whether the university wants your test results at the time of application or whether you can send them later, because this is also different for each university. Some are flexible, others are strict. But in any case, you will need to submit your documents in application portals, which is the next step that you shouldn't miss, because there are a couple of things to pay attention to. In Germany, not all universities use the same platform, and there are basically 3 main ways to apply. First, we've got UniAssist. This is the most commonly used application portal for international students. Over 170 universities in Germany use it. Think of UniAssist like a centralized gateway. It checks your documents, evaluates your eligibility, and then forwards everything to the university. It is very helpful, and I personally like it a lot. For doing this, you need to register an account on UniAssist, fill out your program choices, upload all of your documents, and in some cases, you'll need to send certified hard copies of your documents by post. This can take some time and money, especially with international shipping, and if it is the case for your university, write down the deadline and prepare early. Also, UniAssist isn't free. It costs 75 euros for the first application and 30 euros for every additional one. So if you're applying to, let's say, 5 universities through UniAssist, that's then 195 euros in total. The second option is direct application. Some of Germany's top technical universities, like the TUM, where I study, don't use UniAssist. Instead, they have their own application portals. So if you apply to several universities, then it can get confusing because the application portals are different. But that's what you have to go through. And I believe in you. You can do this. However, while you don't apply through UniAssist, sometimes universities still require you to upload your documents to UniAssist to do a so-called preliminary documentation. This is just a fancy word for you will send the documents to UniAssist. They will check if you have the requirements to study at a German university, and if everything is okay, they will send you a confirmation. You then have to upload this confirmation together with all of the other documents that you collected and upload it in the application portal of the specific university. And then there's the third one, which is hochschulstaat.de. But this is only for things like medicine, dentistry, pharmacy, veterinary medicine, and so on. It's a centralized platform run by the German government, and it's mostly for applicants from the EU or the EEA, so the European Economic Area. If you're a non-EU applicant, you'll usually apply through UniAssist or directly to the university, even for those programs. So, as you can see, you will need a lot of time to prepare your documents, especially if you have to take exams before the application deadlines. So, when are the deadlines? For the winter semester, you can expect to have application deadlines in the first half of the year. And for the summer semester, you have to apply in the second half of the year before your program starts. So for example, if I wanted to study now in April or something, I would have to had applied last year in maybe December. Over the last 2 years, and pay attention to this, I regularly got messages telling me that they missed the deadlines because they forgot that UniAssist can take a while and other documents also just take some time to arrive, or maybe a test result takes forever to come. You can avoid this. So please check the deadlines and write them down. I don't want you to miss any of these deadlines, okay? I would personally recommend you to plan to submit the application at least 4 to 6 weeks before the actual deadline. That way you will have time to fix things if something goes wrong or if there are any missing documents or files. Now, okay, I know this sounds like a lot, like the process is confusing. There's even more things, more steps and so on in this whole process, more details, things you have to check and so on. And you probably don't want to miss deadlines or do anything wrong and end up rejected. I'm thinking of creating a detailed and up-to-date guide that guides you through each step safely, but then also a tool with which you can plan everything, where you have all of the websites, all of the links you need, all of the resources you want to find, so that you don't spend weeks being confused about the whole process and just can rely on this, have one source where you can always go to. In addition, with also some video tutorials on top, in which I can show you how to navigate through all of these portals and also explain the documents, because sometimes they are confusing. It will be a fully exhaustive tool with everything you need, like shortlisting tables, deadline trackers, again, all of the resources and so on, to walk you through the whole process without spending a lot of money on a study abroad agency. Now, if you want me to do that, then click on the link in the video description and insert your email. This will then show me that somebody is interested in me doing this. And if enough people want this and think it's helpful and valuable, I'll create this tool for you and you'll be notified about it first. I'm rooting for you. Keep growing.